moments. Glad you could join us here on the Brave Sports Network here on this special day. Yesterday we were supposed to get him on, but he had a very important meeting, a facilities meeting, and we're going to talk a little bit about that because that's important as we do facility upgrades across campus and across athletics. You can join the conversation. You can send a text 601-301-2611 on X, Tall Man Radio. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. Alcorn Athletics Director Edwayne Robinson joining us. Sir, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Charles. It's great to be here again. Always good to talk with you. Excited about the upcoming year. It's been a really good 8 months. I finally feel like I'm digging my way to the top of the surface and getting ready to go across the mountain now.
Well, we just completed an athletic season. Now we're going to talk all about that as we go along. Let's get right into it. Let's get to the latest news. Of course, as of July 1st, with this new athletic landscape, pay for play, and all of that stuff. You talk about scholarship limits. You talk about roster limits. Let's talk a little bit about that. Mainly for the FCS schools and mainly for Alcorn in all sports. And we start with football because that's kind of the news right now. Obviously, 63 scholarships remain. We're an FCS program. The conference is an FCS conference. We've opted in. The commissioner and the SWAC announced that last week. Explain to us, because you have worked in many years in compliance, so you understand how this works. Break it down for the folks in a simple fashion, and what does the 63, the 105 limit mean or not mean for Alcorn State athletics?
Well, just trying to put it in its most simplest terms, opting in gives us the flexibility to offer more than 63 scholarships. In order to do that, as you know, we have to have funds available to do that, meaning that if it costs $20,000, $20,000 a year to go to Alcorn, and we offer 63 scholarships. If you multiply the 20,000 times the 63, that works out to be roughly 1.2 million and some change. If we want to go to 70, we'd multiply 70 times the 20,000, and then that would give us needing $1.4 million in university dollars to offer 70 scholarships. Now, what that opting in gives us that flexibility. Had we opted out, we would have had to remain at 63. Um, all of the schools in the SWAC wanted that potential flexibility. Does that give us an advantage? It does if we have those funds available. All of our sports now have roster caps, which is probably the other side of the coin, to say that if you don't opt in, your roster size can be as large as you want it to be, as long as you don't give away more than 63 scholarships. So we do have the ability to opt out after this year. Um, this year we'll have that flexibility if we choose to do so. All of our sports now have roster caps, meaning that in basketball, we can offer up to 15 scholarships in men's basketball. And in some other sports, baseball, we can now, instead of the 11.8, we can go up to 34 scholarships if we have those funds available. So that's the bigger picture of opting in and opting out, and
So
try to put it in its basic terms.
yeah, and so I talk about this, and my friend Emmanuel Barnes, who I've worked with for a long time, he worked in student affairs. He talked about the definition of scholarship per se. So when you're talking about a scholarship, doesn't matter what sport, you can waive the scholarship to the student athlete, but that scholarship still has to be paid to the university. I think there may be a little bit of leeway with that, or there may be some misinterpretation. Even though Charles Edmond has a scholarship to play football at Alcorn, that scholarship still has to be paid to the university for that scholarship. So with that, you mentioned the funds and the cost of what it is to go to school each and every year. So the scholarship dollars changes because potentially tuition goes up. And so is that kind of how it works?
It is, and if Charles Edmonds has a full football scholarship, that means the university is allowing Charles to come here and not pay out of his pocket to play football. And if the tuition goes up, now we technically have to increase the cost of that scholarship for Charles Edmonds. So that scholarship definitely still has to be paid. It because Charles is has a bill here for tuition. He has a bill for housing and a bill for meals. So and fees. So the university is absorbing that cost per se that it costs for, and Charles Edmonds doesn't have to pay out of his pocket any money to go to school in order to play football here.
So with the 63 scholarships, that didn't go up, but the roster limit went up. What challenge does that pose? And are we into a situation where we're going to increase scholarships for football or across the board in the other sports in this upcoming landscape, which really starts July 1st?
In the upcoming year, we won't increase scholarships. We'll go with the 63. We'll go with of the number value of what we've been offering for this upcoming year. If we have the flex, and that's as we speak today. If we have or get a certain number of dollars allocated from university administration that says we can offer 65 scholarships, then we can do that without penalty because we opted in. So this year, now that doesn't put us at a not necessarily at a disadvantage. Let's say it it it, it puts us at a maybe at a disadvantage with the Power Five because what they now can do is stockpile even more talent, and just kind of stockpile the talent and keep it there. But when you start talking to a student athlete about getting an opportunity, it's more than just getting a scholarship. It's getting an opportunity to participate in your athletic program or in your sport to get experience. You know, athletes don't just go to college just to get the scholarship. They want to get a chance to play. And that's what their student athletes will still get an opportunity to do here at Alcorn, and at other schools. But if you choose to be a part of a 105-man roster because you got a full scholarship to go to LSU and you're just going to be a practice guy, then technically, if you're a three-star athlete, do you want to go be the practice guy or do you want to come to another institution and get an opportunity to really, really play and allow yourself to be seen by other uh, talent or scouts or potentially realize your dream that you're trying to get to?
Well, we can kind of get this out of the way now. I mean,
Sure.
foresee do you foresee in the distant future Alcorn State football having a 105-man roster?
We have a 105-man roster. Will we have 105 people on scholarship? That I'm not sure about. We technically carry 100 kids now on the roster. We do. But now, will we have 105 kids on scholarship? I doubt it. And that's because now you're talking about an extra 30, 30 kids at $20,000 a piece. Now, if you start doing that with football, then you're going to have to increase the funds available for baseball because they have 34 scholarship spots available. Soccer has another, they can go up to 28. So is it going to help us to have a 105-man roster? I'm not quite sure. I can say that would be because we have 105 students now. But as I was speaking to a coach the other day, technically, how many students do you actually play? The 50 guys that actually play in a game, they're likely already on scholarship. So adding another 65 guys of what 55 guys to the roster or 50 or so on full scholarship, that's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot considering we have some other needs within the department. We're still in the arms race. We still have NIL to compete with. So offering more scholarships is not necessarily our path to winning, and that's what we have to think about. Right now, we have to think about the things that we can do to attract the best student athlete possible to Alcorn. And that's more than just the scholarship. We're going to have to do some investments into some things that we're doing now, facilities, the student athlete experience, you know, mental health recovery, a number of different things to enhance the overall experience. So the scholarship is only part of it. And right now we're investing in the long game and the immediate game of what athletes are looking for today and the things that they talk about when they're being recruited. Right now, I was talking to one of my coaches today, and he's talking to a kid at Missouri, and that kid is currently at Missouri, but he's been at Kennesaw, USC Aiken, South Carolina, and at Missouri. He's been at three different schools, and at each school, he got very, very little time on the field. So now, after three schools and an injury, he's looking at Alcorn because in his mind, hey, I've had the opportunity to be a part of all the pomp and circumstance at the larger schools. Now I don't want to end my career that way. I want to be on the field. So for us, we have to create a situation and continue to enhance our situation here at Alcorn so student athletes can feel like they're going to get a chance to play. Having 105 kids on scholarship at Alcorn, that what we're doing is we're increasing our expenses, but at the end of the day, kids want to feel like they can come here and get a chance to play and have a good experience off the field.
What do you think it would be a soft landing spot? Maybe not 105, maybe not an additional 42. I was talking with somebody the other day, maybe an additional 10 or just maybe a gradual thing, maybe 10 to 12. But that's a
Well,
funding thing.
well, and it is a funding thing. And I don't, again, if I do that, I still got to think about my other sports. So if I do that, if I do a 15% increase there, I still have to marginally think about an increase, a 10 to 15% increase in my other sports. So it would be more than just football. So, um, if I do 15% across the board, that's a significant amount of funds to do that. Do I take that 15% and invest in scholarships, or do I take that 15% in dollars and invest in, my facilities enhancements and some other aspects that are going to really, really impact my recruitment and retention? Because those are the things that are really going to help us along the way.
Yeah.
Having opportunity, I'm sorry, not opportunities, but having things in place that are going to impact our recruitment and retention. We have the funds to offer scholarships to enough players that's going to impact our programs, to impact our football program. We're not losing out on a kid. If I thought we were losing out on talent because we didn't have enough scholarships, I would say definitely let's increase. We got to increase scholarships. But we're not missing out on kids because we don't have enough scholarships. That's not it. Our caveat is the experience, the NIL dollars, the facilities, those kinds of things that really, when kids, today's student athlete, the first question is, well, coach, what are you offering? And they're not talking about a scholarship. So,
Yeah. Well, that's definitely the challenge as this stuff starts July the 1st. And I'm sure you've talked with your other colleagues. I'm sure they're probably doing the same thing you're doing, just trying to figure out, crunch the numbers, what's the best landing spot. What have been the conversations, and we'll kind of move on from this, the conversations amongst your other AD colleagues about this now.
well, at the end of, we all of us are saying the same thing. Financially, it's about fiscal responsibility first. We're all first trying to enhance our facilities, and many of schools in the SWAC have done that. The next thing they're trying to tackle is NIL dollars to be able to attract students that way. And the scholarships will be at the very end because if for us, for our supporters, we have to think about those things that are impacting recruitment. And all the ADs are thinking along those lines and talking to their supporters and saying we have to put money in our coffers and invest in our collective. And uh, you know, now that the schools can pay student athletes, we got to create revenue streams that can build funds to attract students and put money on, and I'm almost hate to say it, but put money in the kids' pockets in order to attract some of the best talent to our schools. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll be updating you, getting an update as time goes on, but it's something that's
sure.
definitely been talked about throughout HBCU athletics. The FBS schools, they probably don't have that issue. 20, $40 million football rosters and basketball rosters. They don't. I mean, they'll be able
No,
to do what they need to do. Let's
our
move on.
basketball coach came from a school that they had a $3.5 million NIL
Yeah,
pool
yeah,
for just basketball,
yeah, and
and
so that's
kids are leaving that on the table because they're not playing. They want to go somewhere else and get some playing time.
Yeah, Coach Morton did reference that. We're talking with Alcorn Athletics Director Dwayne Robinson, our producer Cedric Tillman, and Jamario Brooks. Charles Edmond here. Apologize, came on a couple of minutes late. Had a technical snafu on my end, but we're up and running. If you have a question, you can text a question 601-301-2611, and on X, Tall Man Radio, on Facebook as well. Some good questions coming in through Facebook. We'll kind of get to those as we roll along. Well, you came into this position, Mr. Robinson, in September, and you talked about it's been kind of a whirlwind for you. Um, Evaluate your first this is June, your first 9 months per se,
Yep,
in
per se. Yep.
sitting in
I'll
that
tell you,
seat. Just
it's
evaluate it.
it's first of all, let me say I've enjoyed every minute of it. The ups and downs, the highs and lows. More so, the biggest thing is engaging with our fans and supporters and my student athletes. Um, of course, I wouldn't say there's not a day that doesn't have some type of challenge to it. But one of the things that I haven't been able to do everything that I've wanted to do, but we are in the process of getting some really good movement. Um, we made some really good accomplishments internally. I had some staff challenges along the way that we finally got a chance to get some headway with that. But overall, I think we're in a good place to move to take the next step. Got all my coaches in place right now. They're recruiting really well after going through some ups and downs through their competitive seasons. All of us now are in a good space. Hold on, let me turn my phone off here. All of us are in a good space as far as moving forward. Um, so it's been good. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I've kind of dug my way to the top of out of the hole and looking at the mountain in front of us, and I got some good pieces in place for us to tackle that obstacle as well. Um, Luckily, my coaches, I've only lost one coach from this past year, which was our volleyball coach, but I replaced her with a very exciting and outstanding young lady who was assistant coach, Dr. Ms. Gabrielle Harris. I know all of my teams have done really well from a recruiting perspective. So right now, we're just focusing on getting those kids in here. Had a great conversation with Coach Thomas yesterday. So just excited about moving forward. I started a job in September of last year, which was really, to be quite honest, in the middle of the year because you don't get a chance to do much planning. Now we've already started planning for the upcoming seasons this fall, and we're in a good place. And going to start some campaigns here and get some sponsorships going to bring in some dollars to really support some of the things that we want to try and do.
Well, let's start with football. Of course, we had our some good things happen during the football season. Trying to move on from what happened last year and just trying to move forward. What do you foresee in Coach Thomas in his second season? Obviously, we start the first 4 games on the road. We open up at Northwestern State and then Mississippi State, Alabama A&M, and the Cruise Classic, and then we go to Memphis to play UAPB. What do you anticipate in year 2? And for you, year 1.5, I guess, is dealing with football.
I'm really excited about Coach Thomas and the program. I'm looking for some really good things from him and the program. He too has gotten a chance now to really build his team and put it together how he wanted it, how he wants it to be. And speaking with him, he feels like he has the right pieces in place, the right returners. We didn't have a lot of kids to go into the portal, so he feels really good about that. Um, and I believe in the coach that we have. He's very passionate, as everyone knows, about Alcorn and putting a good team on the field. He comes from a pedigree of success, and he relates really well with the student athlete and the football players on our team. Um, so I just feel good about where Coach Thomas is about to take our program. You know, a lot of that, you never know until the ball is in between the lines how things are going to turn out with 17 and 18-year-olds. But one thing that he shared with me was that he feels really, really good about the experience and the group that he has returning and the talent that he has surrounding that group. So, um, tour days get started next week. So we're going to get a chance to put some eyes on it and get the kids here on campus and see what the attitude's like when they return.
Yeah, just talk about that, bringing the players in from an administrative standpoint. What type of challenge does that pose? Back in the day, football players used not to come in until August. It's a good thing
Yeah.
that they're here in July. And some programs that football players on campus already, actually starting early in the month. I mean, those are the big boys, if you will. They're on campus. Basketball players are on campus. But just the importance of bringing them in July and having probably a whole month before you get into camp.
Well, I'll tell you, and Coach Thomas speaks to that very well. Um, it is so important to get them here early and just get them acclimated, whether it be to the heat, to him, um, get the repetitions in, which is another reason why and it's good for him, as he mentioned, for us to recruit kids that are transfers that have already kind of have some experience with that. Because if you get a high school kid in now, this time of year, by the time they learn the playbook or learn how we do things, the seasons in many cases is half over. So to have the returners and what coach and get them in early right now, get the energy going with everybody, get them acclimated to Alcorn, um, spend some quality time with them before all the some of the distractions get on campus, get them focused on the SWAC championship is going to be good for us. We're just it's one of the best things that we could have, being able to get those guys on campus, and they'll be primarily the only group that's here outside of I think men's basketball is going to be on campus as well, which we're excited about them coming on campus as well. And so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun, Charles, to get to just kind of get them here, get them in the room next week, sit down and talk to everybody, and you know get the focus going. So just really, really excited about that.
And we open up on a Thursday night against Northwestern State. Talk about the schedule. I mean, fans that I've talked to think this is the second year in a row that we've kind of opened up with a road heavy schedule. Last year was UAB and Vanderbilt. This year, the first four on the road. And people are like, when are we going to play some home games in September? I know that for a fact the Mississippi State game that was scheduled years ago. The Northwestern State game, we're returning a game to Natchitoches, which they came to our campus years ago. So those two, we kind of knew years ago when that was going to be. But just playing some football games in September at Spinks Chasm Stadium, people want to maybe see a Marino Chasm Classic to open the season. Some things like that. What as you look at the schedule, as you kind of craft things, is it a possibility that we maybe in the future years we will have some home games on campus to start the season?
Well, I tell you, that's one of the things. That's one of my goals is to at least try to get one game at home in the month of September. September is challenging from the sense of that's the time of the year that when we get asked to participate in some games that are not on campus, that are games that provide some resources for us, some funds. So those September is just a challenging time, and the way our conference schedule excuse me, is built out right now. September is could be difficult for us to try and get that, but it's definitely a goal of mine personally to get us that game in September, because I've heard the alumni say that they would love to see us at home in September, um, even though it's excruciatingly hot down here during that time. But it'd be good to get a one good game on campus and get us ready for October. So to answer your question, it is definitely something that I'm going to be trying to do as we go forward over the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. What do you see in the future? I mean, I'm sure you've looked at some of the scheduling. The Alabama A&M game, that's the Cruise Classic. That's Coach Sam Shade's first home game. It's a 6 o'clock game. We're used to playing A&M when we were in the East at 1 or 2 o'clock, and that's a 6 o'clock game. That's their first home game. It's the Cruise Classic, so it's going to be fun. Going to Huntsville, haven't been there in a while. But as you see the SWAC schedule, do you see the opportunities in some of these conference games, home games in the future as you look at the scheduling?
Uh, I do. It's going to take some adjusting, and some agreeing. The SWAC um, has built out the conference schedule, so we don't we won't have we'll have some conference games in September. We do, but it'll take some agreements and some adjusting to get the game at home. Um, for our schedule, um, late September is probably the best that we'll probably get a chance to get that home game in September. Just looking at what I've looked at for the next few years, so there's that possibility. It won't be early September. Trying to get back to the MEAC SWAC Challenge. It looks like we're going to go to 12 game schedule. Um, I'm sorry, the week zero opportunity for us. So there's some possibilities there as well. So there will be the opportunity there to potentially create a game in September, uh, but it'll be probably in late September. Just looking at the schedule as we go forward.
And just for people who might not know, there is a master SWAC schedule that's
Hmm.
out there, and we're probably, I think, five. Well, you can help me with this, either 5 or 6 years into that master schedule. So the games,
6 years,
already
yep.
6 years. So this is the 6th year of it, and so the games are already slotted. So it's just a matter of moving. If you move one game around, then it impacts other games. So it's easier said than done. And it's interesting, this year with our schedule. We're so used to playing Grambling. When I first got here, we were playing Grambling in the first game of the year. And now Grambling is in November. Southern University is in November. I can't remember when that has happened. I'm sure Braves fans probably I don't know if that's happened in the history of the series where Alcorn Grambling play in November. That's interesting to me because we play Southern and Grambling back to back at home in November.
Yep, it is, and I and at home.
At
So
home, correct.
that's even it's exciting. But those are two tough opponents, and I don't know how tough they'll be by the time November rolls around. I don't. I know we'll be. My plan is for us, and goal is for us to be really playing well. But I would love to. I'm looking forward to having Southern on our campus after us being on their campus last year. I can tell you. So um, just to um, I didn't know that we played Southern and Grambling early in the schedule. To your point, and next time we talk, I'm going to have some more insight and be able to speak specific about where those games land going forward, just to be able to speak to it, because I know we would love to not have some separation there if we could, so we wouldn't have two very strong, historically strong opponents back to back. But as you mentioned earlier, the SWAC schedule is built out, and it would take some agreeing amongst several parties to be able to do that. And then, right on the heels of Grambling, we have Jackson State. Um, so we'll have to see as we go forward to see if we can manage that a little bit better after this 10-year schedule that we're in right now. Hopefully,
Yeah,
the commission will allow us to have some input on that.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see on the back end. And Antonio Bratton just chimed in on Facebook. And Steve McNair was born in Shreveport when we played Grambling in 1991. And so we opened up with Grambling every year, and that was a Shreveport game. So it's just interesting how times change and these games um, move around. Alabama A&M, and we talk about winning, obviously winning the division. You've got your 8 games, and so you've got your 5 games in the West. Florida A&M is on the schedule. We go to Tallahassee for their homecoming. But the Alabama A&M game, it's we play them. It's a conference game, but it doesn't count in the 8. Is that correct?
That is correct. It doesn't
So
count, and it's going to be just a good game for us. It's a long travel game, probably the longest that we'll have this year as far as travel is concerned. So um, we are excited about going down to Florida A&M. Um, I know that's a game that we haven't played down there in quite some time. I was hoping to be playing that game in Mobile this year, so we wouldn't have to go all the way to Tallahassee. But here we are, and looking forward to that as well. It'll be exciting for us to be there, and I think it's going to be good. The SWAC has some good teams throughout, and that's going to be another good opponent for us.
going down to Tallahassee, where hotel rooms are $5,000 a night. I,
Obviously,
it's
you've
it,
checked into that, Charles.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I got lucky. I'm just going to say that I got lucky to get something in Tallahassee that's reasonably priced. But that was just a flip of a coin, just asking a question. What the heck? Let's just see what someone says, and so I just got that done just the other day. But that's going to be
Okay.
obviously a logistics. Is the team going to stay in Tallahassee when they go down there?
Unfortunately, we won't be staying in Tallahassee. We have, a s until it's solidified, I'd rather not say where we're staying, but I can tell you won't be in Tallahassee.
Mm.
Um, Once they announced homecoming, um, everybody took a totally different approach. I think some of the people already knew when homecoming was even before we made the phone call. So, for whatever reason, they didn't want the home team close by. So it looks like not the home team, the visiting team close by. I'm sorry. So we're having to make some other accommodations, and hopefully we'll be able to get in there and get a win from those guys and get on back to Lorman.
All right, so there's one game obviously that you talked about. You were hoping to play Florida A&M in Mobile. Things didn't quite go, but the UAPB game, we were supposed to go
Oh
to
no.
Pine Bluff, and now
Yep.
that's in Memphis. Talk about. I don't think this is the first time we've really talked in detail about how that came about. Taking Pine Bluff taking their home game to Memphis and us agreeing to it and all that. Take us through those steps and trying to make that happen, and obviously it did.
Well, I'll tell you that was. I'll tell you this is a really good opportunity for Alcorn State University. Let me say that first, to really go into that area and put our footprint make a very large footprint in an area that for us, we have some really, strong alumni. It's going to be exciting to be playing against another university that has a footprint in the area. Of course, as you know, the the Southern Heritage was was looking for a team, and we just happened to have the right schedule um, this year to line up with that time slot. We had to do some negotiations because one of the things that is happening, um, and it's not very typical, we are being getting a guarantee as the visiting team, which is great for us. Typically, we would have had to go to Pine Bluff, stay in Little Rock, and absorb all of those expenses. So our expenses are being covered in this opportunity. But again, it's great for the university to go in and be able to put the footprint down for the athletic program to impact a potential high recruiting area. Uh, and winning always impacts your overall recruiting for the university. The band will be in attendance as well. So, and that'll be, prior to them going to Macy's, so we're going to be trying to promote them as well, and not only in the area but throughout our football season up until it's time for us to go to Macy's. So um, it started from a conversation with uh, A.D. Robinson at UAPB and myself. We're friends, of course, and he reached out and said, "Hey, what do you think? We want to go to Memphis. What are your thoughts on that? Not that I really had a choice, but as a being collegial, we did talk about it and how it could benefit us both. And after going through a number of conversations with the folks up in Memphis, we were able to pull it together and uh, and get everything lined up. So we will be in Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic, and I think it's going to be really, really good for us.
Is this a 1 year deal or a 2 year deal? What are you looking at there?
It is a 1 year deal for now, um, and I am trying to negotiate a potential additional year for next year and the year after. I think Memphis is a good place for Alcorn. Of course, we're going to play UAPB ongoing, but I would love for Alcorn to still be in this area because from what I know about Alcorn fans, we will show up. And with the band coming and the Memphis and Arkansas area, the Tennessee and Arkansas area, we're going to have a really, really good crowd there. So, but right now it is just a 1 year deal.
We have a bunch of questions coming in. We'll get to them as we go along. Kind of want to go over the other sports. So as we move on from football to basketball, and of course, Coach Morton and Coach Kilbert, the momentum from the Lady Braves making their second straight trip to the SWAC tournament championship. And so Coach Morton, just talk about the excitement there with Coach Kilbert. I talked with him yesterday and this morning. Recruiting's going well. And then Coach Morton, every time you pull up social media, either been offered, committed. I mean, it seems like he's going to have a pretty deep team here in his first season. Talk about both programs.
Well, just want to give definitely Coach Kilbert a lot of praise and respect for what he's done with the program over the last couple of years. It's really exciting to see that he's still taking the program in the right direction. Just excited about him. He and I have been longtime colleagues and friends, so I'm really excited to see him continue to have the success that he's having. And after having success the last couple of years, I'm sure that impacted his recruiting as not only for the program, but shed light on him as a coach. So that's you can't say enough about Coach Kilbert and what he's done the last couple of years with the program. So excited about him going forward. Coach Morton, hey, this guy came in a very short window, was able to put his hands on some really good talent to bring to campus. You know, the challenge these days when you get kids is and they come in transferring is now uh, they've gone to 3 or 4 different schools, so you got to try to corral them all together and get them on campus. So you don't know what their experiences have been, but you hope it's been something that once they get here at Alcorn that they will really enjoy being here. But he has, based on what he shared with me, he's put together a very really good team based on the talent level. So I'm just excited to see everybody when they get here next week and see them in the gym working out and what they're going to bring to the table. So he has done a really, really good job in a short period of time. And even now, just with the schedule that he's putting together, that's going to be exciting as well. We're getting contracts signed with some really good programs. Um, that I think people are going to really be excited about that non-conference schedule that we're going to have as well. And this year we'll be getting Jackson State on the second game in February, which I'm excited about because I hated playing them on campus when we didn't have students here. So, but we had a really good crowd this year. So it's going to be really good to see both of our basketball programs this year. and where they're going to be going.
Well, we can kind of say this. It's not breaking news. Maybe it is to some, but Coach Morton's first game, of course, he was an assistant coach at Florida State. November the 4th, Alcorn at Florida State to kick off the season. I'll be there. The Lady Braves, I believe, have a home game that night before, so I'm gonna make the trip to Tallahassee the day of and do that. So I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. On the basketball front as well, one of the things that's been talked about in the SWAC and with the SWAC meetings, the Thursday, Saturday games. There's been conversation. For fans, it's kind of a stretch. For others, and for some of the coaches, I understand that they like it. Give us an update. What was the final result? Will we have Thursday, Saturday? Has it been squashed? What is the latest coming out of the SWAC meetings on Thursday, Saturday games?
For this upcoming year, we still will be Thursday, Saturday, and Monday. Men on women on Thursday, doubleheader on Saturday, single game on Monday. Um, we are going to be revisiting that as the year goes along. We've put together a committee to kind of look at the total scope of that scheduling and some other things. So, but for the upcoming year, we will be Thursday, Saturday, Monday.
There was a lot of conversation, I'm sure, for fans having to do 3 days, 3 games in 5 days. What did you think the overriding factor was? Just maybe not giving it enough time, just the experience, still just trying to feel it out to make sure if this is a go, it's a go. If it's not, maybe 1 year is not enough time. What were kind of the discussions there?
Well, ultimately, we still wanted to kind of play it out another year, just to, still wanting to give a platform to women's programs for their day. But, for Alcorn, I don't know if it'll really work for us because being remotely located, it's tough to get the fans and workers and everybody to get out here 3 days um, on separate nights to kind of to do it. Our fans, again, being loyal, were here, um, and but there were times when it got to be draining to get everybody out and at the games. But I think overall, athletic directors, coaches wanted to move into another year, see how it works, and as the year goes along, we'll have more discussion about it. So to change it right away, we may not have completely given it a chance to see how it may set in with all of the institutions.
So on the front side of it, that's the way it looks on the conference side. And then on the back side, you got all 12 teams going to the SWAC tournament. And I was wondering how the scheduling was going to look um, going in because the tournament's going to start earlier than what it normally would. It'll start on a Monday. From my understanding, the last 4 games will be double headers, men and women. The last 4 games and the regular season will end on a Thursday to allow teams to get to Atlanta. Talk about that concept. I was wondering how that was going to work. You assume that with non-conference games the last week in December around Christmas, you probably figured it was too late to make a change like that for this season, but they figured it out in terms of double headers the last 4 games, which the season will end on a Thursday, and then the tournament starts that next Monday. Talk about that.
Yeah, I tell you that now that's one change that once it was we discussed it again. That's something again that's going to be evaluated for this year coming up as well, and we'll have some conversations about that. That'll be looked at too, because that makes for a long week of travel. Some extra expenses because this past year they made it mandatory for the band and the cheerleaders to be there as well, which created some additional expenses as well. You not knowing if your team is going to um, um, continue to play. So you got to have these rooms and everything just kind of lined up. So it can create some challenges because you're talking about traveling on a Saturday potentially, shoot arounds on Sunday, and then potentially playing Monday and being in Atlanta all the way through till the weekend. So even though you want to offer those opportunities to all of the teams and schools, there are some challenges that go along with that. So we'll be looking at that from a committee perspective and AD's perspective as we go forward, and paying very close attention. Excuse me, paying very close attention to how that works out, along with that other schedule that we discussed.
Well, we can avoid that, Mr. Robinson. You know how we can avoid that? Don't
Uh,
finish in the bottom part of the bracket. If you don't finish in the bottom part of the bracket, you get the double bye and the top teams. And so if you're not one of those bottom tier teams, you don't have to worry about playing on Monday.
you're exactly right. You're exactly right, and I totally agree with you. And I don't expect for us to finish in the bottom half of the bracket, to be quite honest. Um, I do not expect that, but I do care about my counterparts, and it's just I understand. I've been on both sides, so if that's something that is going to benefit us as a whole, and I don't know how we. I know we're thinking about it from a student athlete experience perspective, and the support that we get in Atlanta. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out and what how we evaluate it as a committee.
From the baseball perspective, we'll talk about baseball and softball, but I want to talk about some changes. We have a new volleyball coach. Mr. Robinson, talk a little bit about that and the excitement there.
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, we lost Coach Prince, who we were hate to see her go. But we do have someone stepping in that was her assistant, who we're very excited to have a part of our program, Miss Gabrielle Harris, who did an outstanding job as an assistant for us, and it was an easy decision to put her in the interim head coaching position. Coach Harris did much of the recruiting for this upcoming year with his incoming student athletes. She's handled the program in a head coaching style. So we are just really excited. We've upgraded the old gym. So there's a strong possibility we're going to have some games over in the old gym and get that fan base on top of the volleyball game like we've had in the past. So we're just excited about that program going forward because Coach Harris brings so much energy and youthfulness to that position and to our players. So we're going to see how that will not only impact them but hopefully pay off in a lot more wins for that program.
We appreciate Mr. Doucet chiming in. My son's freshman year as a DB, so I'm excited. Can't wait till the games start. And as we mentioned,
Fantastic.
players will be on campus coming up next week.
Yep.
Baseball and softball. Talk with Coach Hardy. Really, really well spoken and just the tough year he had. And of course, Brianna Billy, some injuries kind of set her back. But really, I thought the softball team played well down the stretch. If you can flip the schedule for softball, I think we would have been in Gulfport. But she says we're not going to miss it anymore. We're going to be in Gulfport. Hotel rooms have been booked for 2026. So she's looking forward to that. Talk about the challenges, obviously, baseball and softball coming in year one of Carlton Hardy and Coach Billy.
Well, both of those programs and I would say both of those coaches, if you've heard I don't know, I can't remember, it was Belichick or it was one of the coaches talking about, buying the groceries that you got to cook your meal with. Both of those guys, Parcells is the one who mentioned that.
Yeah, I was going to say Bill Parcells. Yeah.
Both of those guys they inherited everything that they had previously in those programs, and there were very few changes that they could make. So I did not expect, as an athletic director, that there would be uh, a whole lot of changes, but surprisingly, they both did have some changes in a very positive way, um, in spite of having to use the exact same groceries to cook the meal. And now that they've gone out, both of them are in double digits in recruiting. I think over 15 for both of them. So their teams will look very differently. I know that both of those coaches can evaluate and know talent when they see it. They've been successful in their own right, uh, especially Coach Hardy, who has beaten some ranked Division I Power Five schools when he was at Savannah with 3 scholarships. So I'm just looking forward to both of those programs really going to the next level. Uh, just next year, to be quite honest. Um, I've sat down and talked with both of them. Uh, they not only know talent when they see it, but they evaluate the talent that they're playing against, which I think is really good because now, as you evaluate what the winning programs are doing and how they're beating you, you now develop a plan on what you need to have to be not only just competitive, but be successful against those programs. Um, Alcorn, again, had some success this year, even without some of the things that other programs have. So it's just great to see that we can do that, but we have coaches that understand and love being here at Alcorn and love and understand where they are, but their main focus is getting kids here on campus, getting the right pieces together to win championships here at Alcorn. So I'm just excited about. I can't wait to see both of those programs in the spring.
We'll talk about the other sports, and then we'll transition into the questions. We got a bunch of them. You got track, tennis, just those particular programs, the other programs, and what you look forward there as we get into the 2025-26 season.
What tennis had a good year considering it was just Coach Starr's second year. He made it to the semis of the tennis championship. Track had some great individual performances. Uh, Coach Banks has done a really good job recruiting talent for next year. I know Coach Stars has a lot of, well, the majority of his teams returning. So excited about really what the tennis program is going to do. We're going to do some facility upgrades here for the tennis program. And track is just right around the corner, in my opinion, of continuing to build. Overall, they didn't have the best year, but there was some quite a few bright spots um, individually, and we're going to build on that. I think it's just a matter of time before we take our track program to the next level as well as to where it used to be when one of my current staff was coaching, Dr. Alicia Shields Gatson. So she's going to help out with the track program as best she can when she can. But we're going to help build those programs up to the dominant stage of where they once were.
We're talking with Alcorn Athletics Director Dwayne Robinson. Got plenty of questions. We'll get to those right now. One of the big questions when we preview this interview, and people have been wondering about the Whitney renovation. So a question from that coming in, the Whitney renovation seems to be getting pushed back. So when are they going to start? That's part one.
They started today. Some work started today toward the Whitney renovations. The Whitney renovation will start on the pool side and work our way back toward the gym. They were down there working in the pool area today, preparing the pool area for major renovations. So there were just some small things that started, but they actually started doing some things in the pool area today to begin the process of really impacting the Whitney. It's a lot of work that's going to be done. We had some very important people on campus yesterday that approved some of those funds, much of those funds for the Whitney, and they got a chance to see that we're very serious about taking our this facility and some others on campus to the next level. So, but I can tell you that work started today in the Whitney as we get ready to move forward with those renovations. And there'll be some renderings that I'll post on the website here in the next few days to show you. Many of you know what before looks like, but I'm going to do a time lapse of how things improve. So, um, but there'll be some renderings that I'll post on the website to be able to show what the future looks like as far as the Whitney facility here on campus.
And the other part of that it's obviously the renovation is going to be in 3 phases. It's going to, as you mentioned, you start on the pool side, and then the classroom side, and then a lot of people want to know about the Whitney Arena. And this is part two of the question. Other than replacing the bench seats on the upper section, replacing the lights and scoreboard, is hulling out or gutting the arena. And we've seen this in the conference with the Harrison Complex at Mississippi Valley, where the whole arena was shut down and you looked up and they reopened it and it looked totally different than it did before. Is that something that's going to happen with this with the Whitney Arena? Will it look totally different? Is it just going to be some stuff here, some new seats here, a scoreboard here? That's what a number of people want to know when it comes to the arena side of the project.
Well, when the arena, when we finally finish that, that's going to definitely be some upgrades to it. We won't. We may have to go. We don't anticipate closing it down when we're not playing basketball in there. However, due to when you start construction, you have to be very leery of when you're doing certain things. You can't have people in the space, but um, there will be significant upgrades in the Whitney. We won't be necessarily, there'll be some seating changes, some lighting changes, some sound system changes, some scoreboards, digital tables for table side, some things done to the floor. So there'll be some significant upgrades, but to totally gut it out, which is what we had hoped to do, but due to the time lapse of getting this project going, there's still a phase two project. Just more funding would be needed to take us where we really wanted to go. The Whitney has great bones, as many of our older buildings do here on campus. So what we're going to try to do is just do a really, really exciting upgrade to that arena side. But I can tell you the pool side for sure, and kind of midway through the building, it's going to really have a different look per se, because we will have to relocate offices and some people out of the space while they're doing some of this construction. But the arena part will have some just significant upgrades to it.
Do you anticipate that the basketball teams will have to play in a different space as you get to the arena? Is that because we did that
Um,
before when they put in the seats? We played in Utica. This has been a while ago, but we did have to uproot and play in a different place. Is that something that you're looking at as being talked about there?
that's a very strong possibility. That's a very strong possibility, just considering, like I said, when you have construction going on, liability comes into play. So you have to be very leery about, you know, how you're going to address that. And since our basketball teams, they really start practicing, October, and go all the way up until March, the likelihood of us having to relocate, uh, maybe probably likely in the 27 or 28 seasons could be a strong possibility. Don't anticipate that happening anytime soon, simply because phase one is going to focus on the opposite side. So, but to answer your question, that's a very strong possibility.
You talked about the pool area. Will there still be a pool? I understand the indoor pool might go away, and there might be some talk about an external pool or an outdoor pool. Am I hearing that right, or is that just a rumor?
Well, the indoor pool will be going away. That's going to be created and manifested into a totally different area for fitness, a fitness center for us, and a place for not only just our athletes, but potentially for our students as well here on campus. Um, we want to create a facility that's not only just user friendly, but exciting to come to. So the pool will no longer be indoors, but there are rumors, and I can't confirm that yet, but there may be an external uh, pool coming along as well. As you know, we just got Chick-fil-A will be coming on board this upcoming fall, so who knows? We may have a pool right beside Chick-fil-A.
Well, what a
But that's
combination! You're trying to get in shape swimming, and then you're gonna eat 5 Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches.
Yeah.
So that's
So it,
that's going to be interesting. So there's a question from Jay. What about
Charles, can you hold
the
on just
best?
a moment? Can you hold on
Okay,
just a second?
I tell you what, this will be a good time to take a break. So we'll take a break. We got questions about the soccer renovation. We'll talk about that. A lot more to get to with Athletics Director E. Dwayne Robinson. A perfect time to take a break. We'll be right back after this 1 minute
Okay.
timeout. We'll be right back.
We always believe in the power of curiosity. Our students don't just study, they reimagine possibilities. Every moment is an invitation to explore, to challenge, to transform how the world understands knowledge. Within our College of Arts and Sciences, discovery meets transformation. Your breakthrough starts here. Always mentoring, always connected, always Alcorn.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
All right. Athletics Director E. Dwayne Robinson. Obviously, he's got a phone call here, so we'll get back to him in just a moment. But we appreciate all the comments and the questions from everyone. You can text a question 601-301-2611 and on X, Tall Man Radio. Next week, we can kind of preview next week. Next week, we will be back at 5 o'clock, and we're going to be talking with Lady Braves head coach Nate Kilbert, and he has agreed to join us, talk with him today. So there's a lot to talk about there. The Lady Braves, a good job recruiting and trying to continue the momentum after back-to-back SWAC tournament appearances. And the schedule's going to be pretty interesting there. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they have a trip to Destin during the Thanksgiving holiday, playing Mississippi State down there. Looking forward to that. So an exciting schedule. It's going to be an exciting roster. It's going to be really interesting now with all 12 teams participating in the SWAC tournament. So that's coming up as well. All right, so we have AD Robinson back with us. The court, I think Jay talked about the court. That may be the basketball court, and then another court, the tennis court. Talk about that as well.
Well, we have some plans for the tennis courts as well. We're going to totally upgrade those tennis courts, all 8 of them, put new lighting out there. The plans for that are to start this fall as well. We've already started looking for bids for those. We have someone coming in to evaluate them as well. So that's another upgrade. So as soon as you come on campus, the tennis courts will hopefully, and that the goal for that is to start this fall as well. And so that'll be a new facility enhancement as well. So from my understanding, we're also going to be doing some things to the bowling alley across campus, which I can throw this out there. That may be a possibility. We may start bowling back here, not this upcoming fall, but coming up next fall or the fall thereafter. So just trying to think about where we need to go and some things that we can utilize the facilities that we have here on campus, again, to create a better overall experience for our student athletes.
601-301-2611 if you have a question via text. One is coming in about soccer. Any plans in terms of the soccer facility?
Right now, we are upgrading. We're getting a soccer practice area together so that they can have a space to practice. We are looking at the inside of the track to build out and have a permanent space for soccer to practice and potentially compete. So we're upgrading their locker room spaces and doing some things there for all of our programs. But particularly, we're trying to create a permanent space for soccer to practice and compete on campus.
All right, we appreciate that. As far as the football schedule, we kind of talked about that. We played McNeese last year. Questions come in. A lot of people might know or might not know. Has McNeese been removed from future football schedules?
They have and they have not. I think I saw something the other day where there is um, a contract that has them further down the road, but I'm not sure. But I am not necessarily interested in going back to McNeese at this time. Wasn't a good experience for our student athletes when I was there this past football season. And I would have to sit down and have a very strong conversation, at length conversation with the athletic director before we made the decision to go back down to McNeese.
All right, we appreciate that question. Here's one kind of a tough question here. What is being done to increase the branding aspect while others are having camps and others, I'm talking about other schools, it seems like we're sitting around twiddling our thumbs. How do you expect fans to get excited about anything, buying season tickets, etc., when, like, the athletic department isn't really doing much to get fans excited other than the usual? You and I've kind of talked about it. You want to really increase the branding. We brought back our athletics media relations person and Mr. Demetrius House, who did a good job before. He's back with us. So he says he's on that. But what can be done to increase the branding of athletics or improve it or elevate it?
Well, right now, now we're just getting our staffing back, and we're developing Mr. House is developing a media relations team. Um, we were trying to have some camps over the summer, but with the renovations going on and kind of football just kind of came up on us, we weren't able to do any camps. But we're about to, as we get ready to start football next week, we're going to be a lot more visible in that area for its marketing and making fans aware of what's going on with that program. And as we get ready to go into those other sports of softball and I'm sorry, not softball, I'm sorry, volleyball and soccer and those things, we're going to start talking about some of the athletes that we have coming in. We're really going to do some things a lot bigger and better now that we have our sports information position filled. Mr. House does a great job with that area, and I'm expecting bigger and better things as we move forward.
There's a question right there from Donna Williams, who seems to be all over the place. She was in
Miss
Tennessee.
Donna.
She
Yeah.
is. Every time you look up, she can be on. We can be playing on Venus. She's gonna hop on the space shuttle. She's gonna be there. So she was in Tennessee, and we appreciate her support. So here's a question from Donna. What is expected of the alumni? That's why those other schools soar. So what can the alumni do? That's a continued question. Every coach, no matter who we hire, that's always a question from the alums.
Well, the biggest thing right now, the alumni, we're about to. Most recently, I want to applaud my alumni for what they did most recently for football and what Ray Vaughn did up in the Memphis area. Donna was a part of that, and the money that they raised for the football program. We're about to market a couple of other products that the alumni can really be engaged in. We're going to be launching a capital campaign here very soon where we're going to outline, and it's going to be, the goal is to raise $1 million, but what we're going to do is outline a need for every sport and so people can see what their money will be going towards. Right now, as I mentioned early on, way back at Midwinter Conference, we talked about season tickets. We really need season tickets purchased. Those things, we don't have the budget to sustain some of the things that we want to do. So buying season tickets, participating in some of the upcoming things that we have, that we're going to roll out here really, really soon. You know, we have the concert coming up September 19th with Jamal Roberts. But giving to the sport of your choice. When we roll out this capital campaign, we have to get support. If, you know, in order for us to attract certain athletes, everyone knows now that you got to have funds to get these athletes. We have the collective, um, the 1871 collective that's out there with J.J. Smith. We're about to sit down and collaborate with him and the university to kind of bring our resources together. So we need, and we're going to put more things out there to market more things to let people know what's going on. Now that we have some these positions filled, I'm able to get from behind the desk from some of the day to day and talk about these things that we're going to be doing going forward. So I asked just for you, it's been right a little over 8 months, but we're about to take it to another level as far as what we're going to be doing. And we just need the participation and the financial support, Charles, more than anything, particularly right now in season tickets. Um, you know, we've done a few things differently with our season ticket sales to increase some of those sales, whether it be a splash sale. We got starting July 1st, we're going to July 4th, we're going to buy four for 400. You know, you'll be able to get 4 season tickets for $400, but it's only going to last 4 days. So, but we're going to need that support. And once Mr. House gets going with football next week, there are going to be more things out there on social media to show what's happening with football. With our new volleyball coach. So we're going to be doing some things very soon here to put ourselves out there to showcase our athletes, the athletic department. But we need those contributions, and I can't express that enough. Hopefully, we don't have to just kind of continue to have to win in order to get that support, but we need that support. We know winning encourages giving, but right now we're at a point, well, in order to impact winning, the giving has to be at a certain level as well. So I know that may not be the answer that everybody wants to hear, but that's where we are really. And we will be doing more. I hear my alumni, a lot of them wanting to see more, and you will. We're continuing to build our staff, build our team to continue to show everyone what direction we're moving in.
Well, speaking of season tickets, that was my next point. And then you talked about NIL. We'll get to that in a moment. But I have seen the flash sales. I've seen the stuff on social media. How is that campaign going in trying to get, sell as many season tickets as you can? How's that going so far?
Well, we're ahead of where we were this time last year. And I plan on doing, hopefully we'll be able to get on this in another couple of weeks, Charles, and we can have some more conversations about some of the things we even talk about today. But we're ahead of where we were last year. I do know that. I try not to ask for the number specifically, but after this July 1st through the 4th, and hopefully that'll inspire some others to get season tickets. What we've done is try to ensure that everybody who had season tickets last year didn't get left out of trying to repurchase their season tickets for the upcoming year, and encourage those others to do so. So we're going to continue to do some of these specials that we have here and there, but I can't say enough about that and the great job that Dr. Stallings has done to mitigate the challenges of folks who had some challenges last year. But we're ahead of where we were, but we definitely have a ways to go in order to get to that 2,500 in 2025.
So 2,500 season tickets is the goal?
Is the goal. Yes, sir, it is.
All right, so 2,500. So we're going to talk again. Of course, SWAC Football Media Day is coming up July 16th in Birmingham, and A.D. Robinson will be there. So we'll get an update. It's still a few weeks away. So we'll get an update on that when we talk again. We'll kick off our coverage about 9:45 on July 16th. And of course, you'll hear from all the coaches. There'll be a lot to talk about at SWAC Football Media Day. NIL, you talked about meeting with the collective. How much of that is a challenge now with potentially increasing roster limits and everything now on the pay for play and all of that? How much of a challenge now is that than it was 12 months ago, and trying to increase that awareness in that particular piece?
Um, it's at an all-time high as far as the challenge is concerned, because every school is trying now to do the exact same thing. Increase dollars for NIL. There are certain companies out there now that we're tapping into that can provide some of those dollars, provide opportunities for our student athletes, and that's another position that we are creating that I hope to fill, is someone to manage our NIL within the department, because all of our students, if they decide to have a personal NIL, that has to be reported. I do want to bring in companies that can provide NIL opportunities. I get an email every other day of somebody wanting to do that, but we have to vet them very carefully, because we don't want to sign on with somebody who's really not going to create those NIL opportunities. But it is at an all-time high right now for us to not only just bring in the dollars to attract the athletes, but also create the opportunities for our student athletes, where we have companies in a pool. There are companies out there that have a pool of businesses that will evaluate a student's resume to see if they'll be a good fit for an NIL opportunity. So we want to make those uh, opportunities available as much as we can.
That's it's definitely a different landscape. How do you keep up with it all? How do you adjust? I mean, this thing is day to day, hour to hour, it seems like.
It really is. We just had a release to come out 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? Yeah, about 2 days ago. About there was a group of students that were bothered by the cap limits of programs that opted in. I mean, students and coaches, because if you were recruiting a kid 2 years ago and you offered him a scholarship, and then you had another kid with some eligibility still left, you had to make a decision. So now they just recently came up with a rule that makes an adjustment to a roster size if you are already recruiting a kid, or if a kid was already on your team. And this just happened 2 days ago. So it's just always evolving, always growing, and we have to adjust as we go along. Um, to some degree, it's good for us for these changes to occur, because it continues to give us some flexibility with our coaches. Um, but this too will all be evaluated after this year, and or until another student is denied an opportunity through this through these new changes, and another case will be filed, and another change could potentially occur. So
Yeah.
it's that's why it's ever ongoing, because it just takes one or two students to feel like they've been displaced, they've been disenfranchised through an opportunity, and they'll go to court, and somebody will make the change. So we'll see.
Couple of questions, Mr. Robinson, but before we
Mhm.
let you go, you talked about season tickets. What were the season ticket numbers last year, if you can share that? And does it look like we'll have it? Well, you already mentioned that there's an increase already from last year. Are you able to share the information from last year as far as season tickets?
We were right at 1,000, just under 1,000 tickets last year. We have a 20,000 seat stadium, but we were just on 1,000 tickets last year. So those purchasing those season tickets helps increase, not just increase. They provide um, a opportunity for us to impact our budget and to do some things for our student athletes. It doesn't go in my pocket. It doesn't go across campus to anyone else. We're just trying to create a better opportunity and be able to pay the bills that we need, uh, enhance our facilities, create opportunities to recruit and retain really good student athletes, because so when they come in and enjoy the time here, we want to make that as special as we possibly can. Buying those potential extra uniform, that not just one just to compete in or two, but just providing the kids want gear now. So kids want, they want to just, it enhances the experience. And when we do things, whether you give or donate or buy the season tickets, it just allows us to overall impact the recruitment, retention, and experience of our student athletes.
And one
So a
final
question pop up
question.
about the uniform review.
Yeah, and another question kind of on the same thing. Will new uniforms be debuted this season? And kind of along the same lines of what Jay chimed in on.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to do that reveal coming up here really shortly. Um, we are. Well, we have a big announcement coming up. I want to say that because I want it to be something that's special. We got some things going into that. We just entered into an agreement, and I got Mr. House and a couple other guys are working on something really special for us to put out there publicly here in the next couple of weeks. So there's going to be some announcement coming up, and we're really excited about it. So yes, there will be a review.
Okay, we're gonna hold off on that. When we talk in a couple of weeks at SWAC Football Media Day, we're gonna play catch up. Other questions are coming in, but we're kind of out of time here. It's been well over an hour. We could probably talk another hour, so we're gonna have to do this again. There's
Let's
just
do
so
it again
much.
soon, Joe.
Yeah, and would like to be a part of your monthly. Would you do something every month or every couple of weeks with something via Zoom?
Would love to. The Tuesday session that I had been having, I wanted to turn it into an informative session. I love doing this with you. You know, you're a legend here and a legend in this business. So you create an environment that makes it easy to talk with you, and our alumni. They love listening to you, and I think we make a great pairing as it relates to Alcorn athletics. It allows me to talk. I feel like I'm talking to you and talking to the alumni and supporters of Alcorn athletics all in one. Be great if you ever want to have some questions prior to um, the interview that we can, just kind of filter through. I know we don't get to all of the questions, but if there are 4 or 5 questions that you think are really important before we talk next time, we can just start with that and work our way into some additional questions after that. So, as I mentioned early on before I got this job, I wanted to be accessible, and I try to answer all the phone calls and emails. That I found out that sometimes that's not always the best thing, but that's part of who I am is being wanting to respond and at least make myself available, particularly to my student athletes. So.
Well, we're going to definitely talk at Football Media Day. We'll probably come on 30 minutes before they have the big program because I always like to
Okay.
start with the AD. And hey, we will be talking again SWAC Football Media Day. So any questions, you can send a text anytime, 601-301-2611 on X Tallman Radio. You can send those questions anytime. We'll clip them, we'll save them, we'll use them. And we have questions, and Dwayne Robinson has all the answers. We really appreciate you coming on with us, and we'll be talking again in Birmingham. I'm looking forward to that. Some new coaches, not as many quarterbacks from what I'm seeing that's going to be displayed. You know, last year's kind of the year of the quarterback. Not many quarterbacks are going to be featured as SWAC Football Media Day. I wonder what that tells us. But some new coaches, different stuff, and the commissioner always has some good stuff. We'll be talking with him, of course. Cedric Thomas, a lot in the hopper in Birmingham. Mr. Robinson, we'll be talking with you in a couple of weeks. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Charles, so much.
That'll do it for Inside Braves Athletics with AD Dwayne Robinson. Glad you can join us. We appreciate all the questions. Keep them coming, and we'll definitely talk with him at SWAC Football Media Day, July 16th. We'll have wall-to-wall coverage of 2025 SWAC Football Media Day, interviews with coaches and ADs. This new landscape, how will that impact their programs? You heard Mr. Robinson talk about how it could impact Alcorn's program currently and in the future. Speaking of the future, next Tuesday at 5 o'clock, Lady Braves head coach Nate Kilbert will join us. We're going to also get the new volleyball coach, and we're going to get her here as well to talk about volleyball. That'll do it for Inside Braves Athletics. For our producers, Jamario Brooks, Cedric Tillman, I'm Charles Edmond. Appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. So long.
Hello.